Actually, I think we just got the sound going now. It shows that I was muted. Everybody hear me? I think we're good. There's going to be kinks when you go live, but we are live right now. Once again, everybody, welcome to Futures Radio Show. Anthony Crudele here. Thank you for tuning in live here in Naples on Periscope, on YouTube. Great to be with all of you. I know the minutes just came out. I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. Not trading the minutes the way that I used to. Got a couple positions on in gold and Ethereum. I'll talk a little bit about that as well. But before we get into that, remember, Futures Radio Show is sponsored by CME Group. And in July, micro WTI futures are coming to CME. We're only 5 days away now. We're going to have micro crude oil futures. I know a lot of traders are excited about that. I know I'll be using them. And they'll be 1/10 the size of the benchmark WTI futures and will provide traders with a new tool to fine-tune their exposure to crude oil markets and enhance their trading strategies in an efficient, more precise way. To learn more, go to activetrader.cmegroup.com. Futures Radio Show is also sponsored by Trading Technologies, TradeStation, and FTSE Russell. The Russell 2000 is a key benchmark for small cap U.S. stocks. Be sure to check out the E-Mini Russell 2000 futures symbol RTY and micro E-Mini Russell 2000 futures symbol M2K. To learn more about FTSE Russell and their products, please go to FTSERussell.com. Okay, great to be with all of you today. Let's take a look at what happened here on the minutes. I really look at the reactions. I mean, it's always so funny that we look at the minutes of the FOMC meeting, and it's about something that already came out. I know that we know most of what has already come out with the minutes, but they're always could be market movers, so I like to watch them. Don't trade them the way I used to. One thing I'll talk about as I'm watching the markets here a little bit, I'm actually going to be pulling up charts as well, is with FOMC days, I always watch at least the first 10, 15 minutes. I mean, I have my stops in, and I'll even put in some orders that are way off the market. Maybe I get hit. That's about all I really do for the first 10 to 15 minutes. I like to really watch. Like I mentioned right now I'm in gold. I'm long gold, and that's in a swing position. Not really looking to do much during this. I mean, unless we really were to sell off here in gold, then I would probably step in and maybe try to buy some. We'll be doing that live here or talk about that. But and I'm in Ethereum, and I don't think that that's going to matter too much. Maybe I'll look at some stuff in Nasdaq, but we'll get to the charts in a minute. Looking at some things that came out here. So FOMC minutes suggest the Fed will keep inflating the largest asset bubbles in modern human history with complete disregard for the record inequality it has created. I see that's some tweets that are coming out here. And on tapering of RMBS, several participants saw benefits to reducing the pace of these purchases more quickly or earlier than Treasury purchases in light of valuation pressure in housing markets. Let's see what the charts say. I mean, that's why I always look at it. Let's see what the charts say. Right now, to me, the most important one that I'm looking at is gold. Didn't really do much. Let's look and see what any questions anybody has or anybody else is trading out there. For me, I'm going to pull up the chart of gold right now because I'm going to talk about how I'm actually trading that. And actually, I'm going to take a look at the dollar as well. Silver, really very quiet. Nasdaq, not doing much. So let's pull up the charts here. Once again, drop some questions in here. Be happy to answer anything that you guys have. I'm going to do a little bit of charting and go over my process a little bit right now and what I'm seeing here in gold. I actually have the Nasdaq up first because I wanted to see that. That would be something I would consider getting in and doing something right now. So we should have Nasdaq up here in just a moment. Here we go. So I'm pulling up charts. So I use TradeStation for a lot of my execution, Trading Technologies as well. Got a chart up here with TradingView. This is my indicator. It's free. You could download it on my website for TradeStation for free. It's also on TradingView for free. And what I see here in Nasdaq is it's pretty interesting right now. One of the things I'm seeing is a possibility of us maybe looking to start to rotate. God forbid we rotate lower. But what I like to see for a market that's really ending a trend out, right now for me, Nasdaq would only be long, but I think that it could be starting to stall a little bit. And when I look at here, and I've talked about this quite a bit in Develop Your Edge and other shows, I like using past Bollinger Band peaks as resistance. So you can see how we hit that up in here, and they've come off of it for now. Market's starting to really just slow down and test this area a little bit. What I'm going to be watching for in Nasdaq is Bollinger Band starting to rotate around, and then they basically start to come back in like that. And I talk about that a lot, and that's when my indicator will actually draw new lines. If you look here, that's what happened here. So if you look back, we didn't get to the prior peaks, which is the first time we're getting this. Actually, a daily chart, I should say that. We haven't gotten up to these prior peaks in a while, and that's why I think that we're kind of looking at a stalled out possible scenario here. And I actually would be looking for a rotation short in NASDAQ. If this top Bollinger Band starts to come back down, rotates down, gets below the 10-day moving average, that would be something that I like to see. Looking at the reactions of the FOMC, just really nothing much on the minutes, and it's kind of what I expected. And one thing I will say, and I said I like to watch the first 10, 15 minutes of them anyway. I'm doing more swing trading. I'm not doing intraday scalping like I used to. But one thing I've talked about this with Ira Harris a lot is on the days of the FOMC meeting, it's always the overreaction. Day 2 is the reaction to day 1. Day 3 is when the truth comes out. I don't think there's even much to even say about this. I didn't read all of the minute stuff right now. I like to look at this stuff really later. I look at a couple of headlines. I read some tweets, and it's like, okay, I want to see the reactions. The reactions are what matter to me. And when you look at it, even if I go to a 5-minute chart here in NASDAQ, just really not much. And I'm looking at the markets that I'm going to be trading. Like I mentioned, gold got a little bit of a bounce here. That's something I'm very interested in because I'm long gold right now, and I'm going to explain a little bit about why and what I'm looking for to where I think it could be headed here in gold. I don't have a full position on yet, but if you guys have followed me in the past, you know that a big part of my process is when the markets open, when the Bollinger Bands are open up like a mouth, like you see here, and then they start to come back in. So you see how gold has come back in. My indicator drew lines. Support came in for me, 1766. I like to use that 10-day moving average. If it starts to get above it, that was my trigger point to start to get long. Kind of running away from me here a little bit, which is good, but I've only got a portion of my position on because I'm a little bit concerned that it's going to look something like it did back here. And that's what I'm seeing right now in gold. And what I mean is if you go, let me take one of these tools. If you look at where we were here in gold, very similar to me. Lower, started to get back above the 10-day, right? Bollinger Band started to come back in, made this peak, boxed everything in right there. You can see it. I have it highlighted. Chopped around here for a while. I remember this because I was long here. Went back down, basically double bottom area, started to grind back up. Did pretty well through here. Didn't really get into a full position. Was, to me, I hate when I see choppy Bollinger Bands. And eventually got stopped out of them again. It's been the tail of the tape for me this year in gold. It's been an up and down year for me. But this is a much cleaner look. And why I'm not really looking at it for a full position just yet is because I'm worried that it could be similar to that, to where it could be just chop around, 10-day gets flat, and maybe eventually goes back down and retests the low. But my range of execution is all the way down to 1766, leaning on this recent low. This area to me, I just think this is just what I see as an area where I want to be a buyer. What I like about this right now in gold, which is really interesting, is that I like to look at Bollinger Bands. You all know that. And when you see the market start to go up, or when you go down, in this case, and the Bollinger Bands go up above the previous peaks, what I like about that is that we now have expanded volatility, meaning that market went up, Bollinger Bands closed in, Bollinger Bands got back above the previous peaks right here, and now it's opening up to where I think coming back up into that area is not really impossible to do. This 1922, and if you look at my red resistance is 1907, I think that is very possible to test. And so I look at the risk versus reward. If I lean on this low, 1836, I think would be the first target. Low 1900s would be where I think we go. I think we just stay in the kind of range that we've been in. So that's what I see right now in gold. I really like this look here. It's one of the only positions I have on besides what I have on with Ethereum. And I see everyone is saying no sound. It's echoing at Edie. So let me go in here and look a little bit. So I could see I'm in YouTube now and checking it. If you guys want to give me some feedback, has the sound gotten better or no? Like I said, gonna be some bumps in the road when you have, I'm good now. Thanks, Rob. Gonna be, yeah, definitely bumps in the road. Good. Look, first time live. And like I said, it's a good time to talk about next week. We've got Jimmy Jude on here live. So that's going to be interesting. And a lot of guests stacked up coming live in the coming month or so. Jared Tendler, Tom Canfield. So just taking it to a whole new level here. Now, I wanted to show that setup here in gold and really talk about that. And, look at, we talked a little bit about the FOMC. Like I said, that's not really my focus right now with any of my positions. I'm trading my biggest positions in Ethereum. I mean, I want to, the Fed minutes matter. And like I said, to me, I'll watch the reactions to it. That's what matters the most to me. I'm not a macro guy. You follow other people. I bring on guests to talk about that. But really no comments for me. I like to read just some of the tweets and see how the market really reacted. And then a couple things I like to look for during FOMC minutes or meetings is, does it extend trend? Does it reverse trend? Does it do nothing? I mean, this is what the reactions, this is what you want to learn about. And when I look at gold, short term, the trend is up. Is it going to extend the trend? If it does that, that's an accelerator in trend. If it reverses a trend, is it an opportunity? How much did it get broken down technically? I mean, that's something that you'll watch for. I think 1 to 3 days is what I look at. Now, my time frame has changed a lot. And on intraday stuff, sure, you're going to be looking to scalp for the ticks. But for me on the swing side, the only thing I was really watching today was, is gold going to get a decent sell-off? If it does, maybe I get a price I didn't think I could get in to buy it. And that's about it. For the most part, that's how I look at FOMC meetings now. And I think that it's extremely important. So I want to see some of the questions here. And like I said, bear with me here. I've got Periscope and YouTube. So I'm actually going to go to ETH now. And if you guys want to drop in anything that you're trading or anything that we want to maybe look at and talk about, drop it in there. I'm actually going to go, so I'm going to go to ETH first. So I see we got my boy Warren in here, and he and I talk about ETH all the time. And, here's my chart on ETH right now. And this is what I'm seeing with it. And I look at this chart constantly. And yeah, I'm on TradingView, and you can follow me, and the indicators are free on there, free on TradeStation. I actually have my TradeStation account connected to TradingView, which I think is pretty cool. S&P broke all-time highs on minutes. Probably not a surprise once again, but this is something that you look at. Like I said, I'm always trading the front month, and I'll roll over gold on a swing position. So I'll always stay with the front month, pretty much as close to expiration as possible. So I just look at whatever the front month is in gold, and that's always the one I'll be trading, and I'll take it to as far as expiration as I can, then I'll roll over. What Rob said that the S&P made a new all-time high on it. Does the minutes extend trend? Because think about it from this perspective. When you have something that comes out like the minutes, all that really does, I mean, in our world of trading, right, is like we get this news and it's all about how is everybody going to react. I'm not going to sit here and dissect and say, well, we shouldn't be going up, or we should be going up, or we shouldn't for any of these markets. I look at primary trend. Does it accelerate trend? Does it reverse in trend? If the reverse in trend comes, is it an opportunity? If it accelerates trend, that's to me psychology of the market saying, look at, I'm jumping in, I'm trying to get maybe a little bit more aggressive with these types of, this move right now. So that's something that I think is extremely important. So if I'm in the position where it's making a new high and I do it, you're looking at it saying that's the reaction, regardless of whether that news is bullish or bearish. That's something that I like to look at, and we'll see how long it goes. But that's kind of my thinking when I see minutes or Fed meetings, or really any data for that point. I'm going to go to the chart of ETH here. While I'm at the chart of ETH, let's see what we have here. I've got the daily up, and I actually pulled up this volume profile the other day. which is pretty cool. I don't really use this tool too often, but I'm staring at this chart so much that I was looking at it saying, you know what, I just needed another layer here because I've discussed this. It's my biggest position, not currently. I mean, it's my current biggest position beside over gold, but it's not nowhere near as big as it was just not too long ago. I got stopped out of a lot of them, and I'm trying to get back in to a full position. But what I see here in Ethereum, what that I like in terms of understanding the environment is important, because we had this massive move and now we've come back down. And now I think we're just in this consolidation period here. The Bollinger Bands, unlike gold, I'm going to go back to gold in a second. I'm going to show you something. This is extremely important for me in my trading. Gold Bollinger Bands expanded beyond the prior move, right? In Ethereum, they shrunk. So what you have is you have Bollinger Bands that created peaks inside the old Bollinger Bands. This is all daily charts here. That is a massive indication to me that we are very range bound. It doesn't say we're going to expand out of this previous range. I mean, before I was looking for, I even did that show where I said Ethereum's going to 50,000, not saying that I thought that it would go there. I would have liked for it to gone there when I was long a bunch of them, still long them. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at this now and I'm trading this for rotations. I'm actually using futures for this right now. And I'm using futures because I want to be leveraged in shorter areas, because I think that the ranges are going to be tighter. So now it's a matter of just positioning myself that way. And this is not just for Ethereum. This is for any market I'm trading. If the Bollinger Bands are inside the previous daily's Bollinger Bands, that is a massive indication to me that we are going to be range bound for a period of time. Until these top Bollinger Bands take out these previous peaks now that they're in, which is far from doing here in Ethereum, I think we're just locked into a range. So I also like to draw my fib tool, which my indicator is essentially does that as well. I'm not going to get too into that today, but halfway between the Bollinger Band peaks comes in right around 2,300. And that comes in right into my light blue on the daily. So 2,300 to me is huge in Ethereum. And I think they're going to keep testing this area. And as long as it holds above it, I think that you're looking at, in the short term, I think 2,700, which would be my 70% line, which is basically a fib from the bottom of the peaks. 70% of that comes in right around 2,600-ish. And I think that's where it goes if it holds 2,300. If it fails to hold 2,300 and gets back below the 10-day, I think we're looking at chop back down to 1950. I mean, that's just what I see. I mean, that's just my analysis for now. And like I said, my range of execution is anytime it gets near 2,300, I was buying it below it. Now on breaks down to it, I'm long. And really just going to lean on the 10-day moving average and recent lows and just kind of just trade around this position. I don't think it's a super clear look. Like before, I was just in full position, let it rip. Now I'm really managing this different. That's why I like futures, because I think futures are a great tool to trade in this type of a range. So that's what I like about this. Seeing some questions and some comments in here. Love the trailing stop video I did on ETH. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, totally different market now in ETH. I mean, I don't know what you guys are seeing, but I think it's just a very different market, and it's really changed compared to the way it traded earlier in the year. That goes without saying. But I think now we're getting this lift again, and markets have memory. It could get wild like it did. I'm not seeing signs of that yet. That's why I'm not in a full position. I'm just trading around a position now, in and out. I think that's very important for once again, recognizing environment and how to go about this. I'm going to actually look at a bunch of these questions here. So that's what I'm seeing in the charts. I'm not going anywhere, but I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to read some of your questions. When I come back, I'm going to do a straight Q&A with you guys on here, go over some questions, maybe go to charts, ask me anything about what you're seeing in the markets, what you'd like me to discuss, and I'm happy to do that. So I will be back here in 45 seconds.
Replace your exchange with TradeStation Crypto. Dealing with multiple exchanges is complicated and it takes time, except with TradeStation Crypto. Because we are not an exchange, we are a broker. You have access to multiple pools of liquidity, all in one platform, in one account, one way. Trade crypto your way, plus earn interest on your eligible cryptocurrencies. Get started in one click.
Trade the global markets with trading technologies.
TT is the world's fastest commercially available futures trading platform, now with integrated tools for advanced options trading, cryptocurrencies, and trade surveillance. Learn more at tradingtechnologies.com.
All right, everybody, I am back. So quick little break there, but we're back. And see a few questions I'm going to go over. And just to recap some of the things I talked about today. And I can't say this enough because I think it's just so important. Everybody looks at all these different days and on the calendar for all the news and all different stuff that's coming out. And the most important thing I can always say about when you're looking at data points or news or anything is the reactions. And that's really the theme today. And I wanted to come on during the minutes because I think that it's important to understand. I mean, I've had a lot of experience trading these days that it's not necessarily the news itself. I mean, sometimes the news is so impactful on the markets that the news overtakes everything. So you're going to have a market run. I think after this last Fed meeting, kind of knew that today was going to be, muted. I always laugh at the minutes. Like it's nothing like spending our time to read old news in a sense. But I just think it's so important to understand the reactions, understand the environments that you're in. I mean, and like I said, I look at it, did it accelerate trend? Did it reverse trend? Did it give me an opportunity? What was it? Know the environment going in. And really, it's a nothing for me today. So when I look at everything, I read some of those tweets. It's just whatever, not my world. But some really good questions here. And I'm going to go to Samuel. And he said, what is the best way to improve execution? Get out of trades to fail before they hit a full stop. And let's see if Rob asked the question too. I'm going to have to go back and see if I can get that. But Samuel, your question is, and I'm going to comment on the Russell 2002. What is the best way to improve execution? It's experience. I don't know what else to say. I mean, experience is everything. I'm going to be really perfectly honest with you. I've not traded the best over the past month. Over the past couple of months, it's been kind of up and down. But I look at gold right now. Let me go back to gold because this is the perfect way to just talk about how, for me, I've gotten better at execution. And like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and it's just amazing to me on how much I feel like it's still a learning experience every single day. And when I go back and look at what I did in gold here, let me actually go back a little bit further. In this area right here, I got really aggressive gold. I got really started to push and press for thinking that we're going to make all-time highs. And I just got clipped. And it just was not good. I didn't manage the trade great. I was too much into a full position, let all of the position go, and eventually stopped me out. Didn't manage risk when I saw a day like this below the 10-day moving average, just piss poor execution. Here, I learned from that previous day in gold, where I'll go back in here, right when I got that look I wanted, and I said to myself, you know what? This area is good for me to be long. I was patient. I waited. I never really got to a full position. I made a little bit of money in it. I didn't get aggressive with it. And I said, when it started to hug this top Bollinger Band in the 10-day, I should have. I didn't really do a great job at it. So I said, okay, let's wait and see. And it was part of me because I was hanging on to that past trade, which, I mean, let's face it, sometimes that happens. You try to be as present as you can, but it doesn't always work that way. Now here, I look at it and say, look, it's the perfect time again. This is the exact look I want. So for me, I'm in. I'm not in a full position yet because I'm looking at it and saying, well, the question is, how do you get better execution? Practice. Just got to keep doing it. I don't know what else to say. I'm actually using the micros for this position, which I don't use often in gold, but I'm actually using them this time because it's keeping my activity level up, which is interesting to me because I started to do this, and when the micros came out, and what I like about the micros is that I'm a busybody when we get into an area. So although I could trade the bigs here, no problem, the regular, which I do most of the time, I like to start doing the micros because I was scaling out more, and I was ended up getting into the same position size overall as I would have if I was using the bigs. But using the micros, I was looking at it going, it just kind of bought me time in waiting for for better prices. I wasn't as price sensitive. And so I just kind of clicked and felt by getting in, it actually helped me tremendously. So which I thought was, for me, really very beneficial in getting better at my execution right now in gold. So Samuel, to me, it's like, it's experience. That's what it's all about. I'm going to get to the Russell in a little bit, but I want to go to Warren. How often do you have resting orders and extremes to the markets you trade all the time? Something to look to improve on. How often during like FOMCs? Today I didn't have anything working and I would have clicked right there. But a lot of times, like right now in ETH, I have working orders. I have working orders in ETH because I have my, I don't want to say line in the sand ish, but if we start breaking down below 2,300 and we get these little blips, problem with like, especially with crypto, is that it's hitting it during times I'm not awake, and that started to, it's a little different than trading S&P. S&P, I'm almost never working orders, but with crypto, if I'm scaling in, I work a lot of orders. I work orders with gold too, because with gold it's volatile. So I look at it and say it might blip down there. I may not get a chance. S&P is not. So when I trade S&P, I'm in such a tight range, and it's more about a size thing that I don't need to work a ton of orders. I'll work scale outs because I just want them to fill me. I don't want to be late to, all of a sudden clicking in, it goes to my price, and all of a sudden, now I'm chasing it lower or whatever. But so it just depends on the market, the environment, the volatility. But for me, the more volatile the market, the more likely I am to work orders. And when you have crypto with 24/7, I like to work them there. So that's just my plan in my mind for doing that. Let's see what we have here. So a lot of people talking about Russell RTY. Let's just pull it up. I mean, it's a market I trade pretty actively, not as of late, and I'm going to explain why. Why am I not trading the Russell at that much as of late? Well, the reason is, look at it. I mean, let's just look. Let's be honest here. When you look at it on a daily chart, environment. Okay. The Nasdaq, to me, I did a couple of longs. I bought calls a little while ago in the Nasdaq. I puked them way too early, of course. I've been a little bit long on the futures here and there. Just trading it to the long side, I've since stopped, because once we hit that top Bollinger Band peak, which I'll go back and pull up a chart, I'm like getting a little difficult up here to manage risk, because now my stops are getting wider and my profit targets are getting tighter. Russell, when I look at it, it's just, I mean, I know people are probably saying, why is it diverging? Well, it's diverging. It's different stocks inside of it. Russell is not, look at what it did at the end of, I think last year, right? When it had that huge run. I think it was actually last November. Had that massive run where it was up huge. And when I look at Russell, and I've talked about this a lot in the show, the Russell is definitely more sector related than stock related. So when you look at the NASDAQ is more stock related, especially when we trade the futures. Apple starting to firm up, much more sensitive to those types of stocks. Russell is sector based. So when you look at it, those sectors have to be kind of accelerating altogether. Otherwise, you don't really have as clean of a move. So that's something I look for in Russell. When they're all lined up, the sectors are doing well, then I like them. When you look at the Russell here, this is why I like my indicator. This is why I built my indicator, is because it gives me a visual. I think for any of you out there, I don't care what indicators you're using. I could look at a chart, any chart, and I'm not here to do analysis for everybody, but I think you do your own analysis, but I'm happy to look at other charts and explain my thinking. When I look at Russell, I could tell right away. I mean, forget about even if I took the indicators off, it doesn't take rocket science to know that we're in the range. But what did I say about gold? What did I say about ETH? Look at the Bollinger Bands. When they keep making Bollinger Bands inside previous peaks, that to me is such an indication of range bound. Well, what am I going to do here? I like swing positions in Russell. So when I look at it, you say it's sitting right at my neutral in the middle of a range. This to me is an day tradable product at the moment. That's just the way I see it. I think if it were to squirt down to some of these lows and get on the outsides of the Bollinger Bands down in here, then it becomes very interesting to me for a long, because it's a really tight stop to come back into range, and maybe at that point it breaks out. But in the middle, yeah, tough here, just tough here. So I don't love it in the middle. I have to figure out how to get the Periscope here to see what questions are on there. I'm actually not exactly sure how to do that, which is pretty funny that I don't know that. Let's see. How do you do it on here? I know someone sent me a private message in Twitter saying, sent you questions on Periscope. I don't know how to look at them online. I'm probably going to look at them on my phone to see if I can see them on there. But if you could hop over to YouTube, I'll definitely do it. I'm sitting there looking at my phone on a live stream to figure out how the hell to do this. but I don't know. I've never done them before. Like I said, I'm only looking to get better at it. And I'm not going to do that right now. I'll figure it out in the future. But anything else you guys want to talk about, put it on here. You could put it in this in the stream and Twitter. Then I would answer the questions there. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'm looking at right now, giving you guys a quick rundown, a quick layout of the land, we'll call it, and what I'm trading. Actually, I want to pull up bonds real quick because that is something I wanted to watch. Made a higher high, accelerated in trend today in general. And environment, right? What's the environment right now in bond market? I mean, consolidation to higher. It's a market that is, from what I look at, I really would not be interested in shorting this market right now. Bollinger Bands, this is my hourly chart. Anytime I see Bollinger Bands, this is actually, I'm going to leave on this note unless you guys put some other questions here in Q&A. I'm going to be done for today in YouTube. The one thing I will say when you're building a strategy is don't just build strategies to look at things to tell you what to do. Look at things to tell you what not to do. Bond market's not a market I'm trading at the moment. Most of the time I'll trade 10-year anyway. This is the 30. When you look at it, you have the Bollinger Bands that come open like this, and then they start to come back down. And anytime we sit like this and we turn right back up in these Bollinger Bands and on my red line, and it starts to hold that as support, because this is supposed to be resistance to retest neutral. It's basically a mean reversion type indicator. Boy, that is scary to be short, because it's telling you that anytime it's resting and it even appears to look bearish, it likes to jam you. That's just my thinking. It likes to jam it and just starts to run it. So to me, when I look at bonds, I think that this thing could, who knows how far it could rally on the daily. Like I said, I'm not trading it, so I don't like to really talk about something that I'm not really actively in. But when I look at it, it's like, man, Bollinger Bands are opening up and I see it. I'm looking at it for other confirmations in what I'm doing. But bonds to me, they don't look weak. That much I'll say. They look strong. So S&P, some questions coming in on that. We'll pull that up. All-time highs. What did I say? I mean, anytime we get to those previous peaks on the daily, I'm out. I can't trade it. I mean, it's just such a slow grind up for me. Environment. When I see this, I say to myself, I really can't do much in S&P. If you're intraday day trading, totally different. The way I'm trading it these days, I'm definitely more on the swing side. I like to look at it more of where do I think it can go over a period of time, day or multi-days. Not just intraday ticks, but when I look at, even if I go back to trading that, which I did a lot last year because when it was busy during COVID, the environment suited it. Right now, this grind up, I don't love it. And when I see it at the previous peaks in the Bollinger Band, it just tells me this thing is just firm as can be. But if it starts to come back down, where the Bollinger Bands start to come back in, I would actually look probably for a short. Dare I say that, because it's so difficult to short these markets. But that's something that I've looked at. Somebody goes, I'm impressed that you admitted to taking a loss. I take losses all the time. I mean, I don't know what to even say. I wish I didn't have to admit to it. It's too damn hard. I actually saw a tweet today. I can't remember who put it out. I thought it was really funny. Then somebody said, tell them how easy trading is. All right, tell them how easy it is. It was the Brad Pitt and Ocean's 11. I thought it was cool. And then when you click it, he goes, tell him how easy it is. And he goes, it's really, really hard. And I was cracking up on that because and he was making that reference to trading. It is hard, but we make it harder than it is. That's definitely for sure. And, when it comes down to trading, just know what you're looking for. Have the confidence in executing in what you want. I mean, I look back at today. It doesn't matter what any Fed meeting or anything is. I know exactly what I'm looking for. I'm not searching for something to do on a specific day. I mean, that to me is what's most important. That's what's most important. Don't search for things to do. Let the market search you out and force you. One of my most popular tweets all time was, great traders don't force trades. They're forced to trade. That was several years ago. I put that out. I think that was probably to this day is my top 2 or 3 tweets. And it was just because I looked at it and I was like, man, you're forcing it like a knucklehead. And I said, don't force it. And, going back to just some of the questions about markets and environment, it really just comes down to you got to have that hand, be forced to do something. And that's really the key to me for longevity in this business, because it does take the pressure off of you from forcing things. So unless there's any other questions, and it was from Moneyball, or was it Ocean's 11? I don't remember. Julio was saying which one it was. I don't know why I felt it was Ocean's 11 or 12 or something, but you're probably right. All I know was Brad Pitt. So, all right, guys. First live one's in the books. And I appreciate all of you guys joining me. Trade well. Stay patient. Hopefully everyone had a great 4th. And that's it for me today. I'll see you guys. Next week is Jimmy Jude. Following week is Jared Tendler. Hopefully, I think I said his last name right. I hope I didn't screw it up. And then we got Canny's coming up as well. Tom Canfield, all going to be doing in the live streams in the coming weeks. That and a whole lot more. So stay tuned. Thanks for tuning in. See you.
Thank you for listening to Futures Radio Show. If you enjoyed the show, please leave a 5-star review on iTunes. Never miss an episode. Go to anthonycrudele.com and get on our email list for show notifications and for free content that is exclusively for subscribers. Also on anthonycrudele.com, you will find tons of videos and education on trading futures, options, and crypto. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Opinions expressed are solely my own and my guests, and they do not express the views or opinions of my sponsors. Futures Radio Show is produced by Crudele Productions.